Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So, sorry, guys. Let's go ahead and jump on in. We're going to take a look at the topic of love. We're going to go with one of my favorite decks. I hope everybody had a nice Valentine's Day. We were celebrating my mom's birthday early. Really isn't until next week, but I was away this weekend spending time with my mama. And so, anyway, you guys, it's nice to be back, though, too. We have the Hierophant. Hierophant energy here is really, really lovely way to start when we're talking about love. This can be a card of marriage. This can be a card of big commitment, a card of connecting to one's higher self. Hi, Denisa. To have these two parrots on opposite sides of kind of an Aztec um, sculpture here makes me think that, parrots are, well, all birds are very communicative, but these two are good reversed or inverted images of each other. That could mean that we have characters that are at a distance from each other, where one is day, the other is in the night. This could also be that they're just a really terrific match and they would be a beautiful complement to each other, that they would be able to kind of like see two halves of the same situation and fill in the gaps. So together they actually, like come up with stronger ideas. This could be the ideal connection, honestly. That's a really strong storyline to start with. Hi, everybody. It's so great to see you tonight. Happy Sunday night. We have a 10 of Pentacles. Oh my God. Talking about love. This is this couldn't be more ideal. To see this strong of a bond, strong of a connection, and then to see the 10 of Pentacles, these two could build an empire together. Okay, the thing is, we're talking about like the real deal. I don't know who's going to have that, or if they're, we have two characters that are seeking this. We have a Princess of Swords, so I would definitely go ahead and say that two characters share the same desire. They're seeking it, but they haven't seen it yet. You notice how her eyes are covered by this, that's almost like a fish swimming by, but it's reminiscent of more of a shape of a helicopter as well. We definitely see a divine feminine who doesn't know how she's ever going to find this, but she's not the only one thinking this. We have somewhere out there, there's a perfect match for her that thinks the exact same thing. How on earth am I going to find this? This is what I want, but have I found it? I'm not sure. There's trying to discover it. Now, sometimes that Princess of Swords is the spying energy, but she can't see. Her vision is blocked. King of Wands, what's so wild is we can't see his face either. You notice that it cuts. We only see his lower face. Wait a minute. Are these two in way closer proximity to each other than what they realize, but neither one can spot each other yet? Is that what we're looking at? She's looking, his heart is doing the kind of like, searchlight kind of thing. They could come from different cultural backgrounds. We have, just because of the painting that he has on him, there's this is reminiscent to me of the people of the Kau, Kau, a group in Africa. But this also has like a decidedly like rainforest energy. And then also I could see Australian Aboriginal as well. She, by contrast, maybe she lives in a completely different world. She has kind of a Nordic look to her, possibly. This could denote characters that are from a totally different cultures. Samara, thank you, Angel. You're so generous. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful donation. This is, it just goes to show the same message that I say all the time, which is, it doesn't matter where we're from. It doesn't matter what culture we're from. Human beings are not different from each other. Sure, we speak different languages. We have different food. That's what makes, human life rich and, tons of experiences. But when it comes to our hearts and who we can fall in love with and who we could have a perfectly harmonious relationship with, could be anybody from any walk of life, any strata, any culture, does not matter. We can love absolutely anyone. Our heart isn't stupid. Our heart's intelligent. Our heart knows when we find that match. But we have two characters that are both looking for the same thing. We have the Lovers card here. They want to choose each other. Even, do they know each other yet? Like, I can't figure this out. Is it that they're not in close enough quarters to be able to look at each other eyeball to eyeball? Are they too far away for that? Or do they not even know that the other one exists, but somehow their hearts are feeling that it's out there? Three of Wands, at least we can see eyeballs now. so we're getting a little bit closer to explaining this. The Three of Wands is usually looking toward the future. So these two will meet. I don't know what the hang up is right now. I'm going to, one more from this deck and then we'll change. What is the hang up? Why is it that they can't meet until the future? In this deck, they call it the art card. It's temperance, but we see we've got a ghost town. And then we see this painting. And I love this because it's showing us the hands of the universe doling out the cards, right? And this person is painting. We have a masculine who's here painting this, almost like he's looking at the ghost town, but he's choosing instead to not paint what he sees, but to paint the reality of the way this goes. Sometimes it can feel like we're in this barren landscape. I feel alone. I don't feel like there's anybody out there for me, but your heart, again, knows better. Your heart knows that there's something about when certain relationships end, or even if he's been dating a lot but not found anybody that he connects with, and so it feels like this barren ghost town where it's like, God, I just feel like it's, even if I'm in a relationship, it just doesn't mean a whole lot. I haven't connected to that person that I believe is out there. And while I feel really alone, I know better. I know that there's some cosmic thing going on. There's something, some hand of, cards that the universe is dealing out or has dealt me for a reason. And I there's this weird sense of peace, even in this kind of moment of loneliness. The blockages here are that I think we have somebody who's getting over a chapter of their life and they really haven't been ready for the next chapter. And I think that he's intuitive enough to know that, even though it's more like all coming in this artistic way. Like if he could access a more artistic side of his mind, he would probably be able to verbalize this to himself out loud, but instead it's more something he knows internally. So the blockage to them coming together right now is, it appears that it's on the masculine side just because he's the one standing here on this card. But again, I don't read for genders. This could be two men, two women. In fact, that Lovers card was very androgynous. This could have been same-sex couple. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other anyway, but I will say other cards that we've seen, a masculine and a feminine. So that's how I'm going to keep talking about this, but just bear in mind, it could be any genders. But we'll say on the masculine side, even though this is a blockage, it's only because there's a reason for this. There's this bit of like, he needed to get tired of the same old that maybe he was settling for that wasn't really satisfying. And he needed to maybe start asking the universe, like, I want something more real. I'm ready for something more serious. I'm ready for somebody that really matches me. I don't want to just date casually a whole bunch. I want something real. And maybe he needed to get to that point before he was going to be able to meet her. And I think he's kind of like either awakening to that. Now on her side, I don't know what it is on her side. I guess I got to stay with this deck one more time. I said I was going to change, but let me get one more here. On her side, we have the Chariot, we have the Knight of Pentacles. She's not that different than him. She needs to leave behind the bones of the past. And that's been slow work for her. She's been cooking up something different in her mind, but she had to imagine herself with somebody totally different than what she has known. That Chariot is moving forward with a sense of peace and calm and happiness. In a lot of ways, that Temperance art card is a wonderful matchup to this Chariot, because it's like there's a sense of calm for both of them. There's a sense of in I wouldn't normally say that there's a sense of moving forward in the Temperance card, but there is in this card, because we go from ghost town to trusting in the universe and trusting that we're about to get a new hand of cards dealt to us, or the next card that we're supposed to have is about to be, like shown to us. And here there's a real sense of peace in knowing that I'm supposed to go into the unknown. I'm supposed to go over the mountain. It's been a while coming. I really think that these two have not been ready to meet each other. Maybe they haven't even been ready to have the love of a lifetime, or this kind of, like this marriage is going to be something really special. Now, when I say marriage, it could be, there's a lot of different ways to talk about marriage. We think of it in the traditional context, but a marriage of the souls to me is way more meaningful than a marriage in like the courthouse. Yes, you're going to file joint taxes when you're married, but that doesn't mean much of anything if the souls aren't, feeling the same way. Like, I'm with you and I'm bonded to you, and, you and I are sharing this experience as true, partners and shoulder to shoulder. So I'm going to say that's the part that they haven't had. And that's the thing that's coming. That's what they're only just now both really, really aware that they're ready to have. This is going to be a deeper level connection, a stronger level connection than what they have had. Maybe, I don't know, the fact that she's the one with the Princess of Swords, she's the one who's maybe thinking she's been seeking this longer than he has. But interestingly enough, he's the one who's actually the King of Wands. So it's more like she cerebrally has been saying, I want to find that. His heart is the thing that is like opening up and recognizing that that's what I crave. So these two are in, like, when I said at the beginning, these two might have different ways to communicate, and they each hold certain pieces of a conversation or certain pieces of information, and you put it together and then it's like, wow, they work really well together. They'll provide different pieces of information. I'm not saying she's just all cerebral and he's all heart and emotion, but I am going to say what his heart feels, she may be able to articulate better than him. He may show his emotions and she may be able to find the words to describe his emotions. There's something about the two of them that will be really, really good. She might also say things that could sound a little cold, but he'll know exactly how to interpret them, or exactly how to, like, reach out and use like physical contact during a time when that's really what she needs, but she didn't know how to ask for it. These two could have a really amazing extra layer of, they both bring something that the other one needs to the table. I can see why that would be such a strong vibe. And I don't know if they knew how to ask for that. They just both are in this place of, I want that harmony. And God, will I ever find it? I don't even know. Does it exist? And the answer to this is that the two of them were not even ready until now, until this upcoming timeline that we see emerging. They both had to think about it in the same context. Now, the reason these two are going to be a good match is because they're both in the same headspace and heart space, because they're both ready for the same thing now. So they're a great match. And I think, sometimes right when one person, let's use a non-romantic context. Let's look at eras of history in mankind. There've always been eras where we have like tremendous growth. You can look at it in past cultures, there was like hunter-gatherer communities, and then all of a sudden we'd see these cities emerge, and we'd see, these time periods of like tremendous, monolithic buildings that were created. And it's like, okay, wait a second. How come for a while human beings were, not building monoliths, and then they started to? How come we have eras of stuff where it's like we have tons of art, and then we have, dark ages? Why does it come in sweeping movements? And it's because, to me anyway, it's like we're seeing this on a micro scale between these two hearts. Why have they both, neither of them have found that thing? It's because they didn't have their minds click into what it was they were really hungry for, or they hadn't reached the place of being hungry for that, so they didn't start to create it. It's like when people migrate and more people start to like want to live in an area, then it's like, hey, there's a bunch of us, we could all get together and we could like build stuff. And what about like figuring out how to have potable water that comes into our homes. And, you know, it's like sometimes you have to get enough people to where there's more possibilities, but you also still have to be hungry for that. So you want to congregate for it. If you just want to be out there on your own, you're not going to meet somebody to date because you're not wanting to go where the dateable people are. Or if you don't want to live in cities and you want to be all spread out, you might not be congregating with enough people to build those massive monolithic places. So, I mean, I'm just looking at it like the only reason it hasn't happened is because that's not what they were hungry for yet. Now they are. That I don't know if that's the best analogy, but that's the thing that comes to mind is that now it's time because this is what people are hungry for. That's what these two people are hungry for at the very, you know, just a one-on-one level. So they're going to find each other. How do these two, we see it's upcoming, right? We see it coming along pretty soon with that Three of Wands. And I always look at that as 3 days to 3 months, usually leaning more toward the 3-month time period. Now, for this next series of stories, I felt just because today when I was out walking, I heard all these birds and I was like, you know what, it's time to do a springtime series, kind of like what's coming as we, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we're, you know, starting to see little hints that it won't always be winter. I'm not a winter person. I want it to be over. And so I was very excited. So I'm like, let's morph into like, let's lean into what comes next. So I'm looking at it like in the next couple months period. And sure enough, this storyline is kind of leaning into this also. That Three of Wands is very colorful, lots of, you know, pinks and blossomy colors. But how do these two encounter each other? Somebody's going to have to do some brave stuff. They're going to have to lay their heart on the line. She's topless, which is the only reason I have to cover her just a little bit. I see no problem with nudity myself, but I don't run YouTube, so I have to be discreet. Forgive me for that, but I see nothing inappropriate about it in the least. But that's just me. Leo energy, huge strength. And anytime I have a card with somebody whose their chest is bare, I always think of it as laying your heart on the line. Now, interestingly enough, he's the one all heart centered, but she's the one who might do the brave thing here and show or reveal her heart first. How is she doing this? How is she doing this? Six of Cups. We have, this is an ancient alchemist and his apprentice, right? So in the very, very olden times, the ancient alchemists had two things that they were tasked with. They were told, make us gold and make us live forever. And so try to create any metal that we have, turn it into gold, figure out how to do that. And that was their big quest, you know. So the whomever was wealthy, whomever was in power would employ basically the early chemists. And they were always, you know, their fire and brimstone stuff. They were really doing different chemical reactions, trying to transform elements into gold. But out of that emerged eventually like chemistry, and eventually after that, like pharmaceuticals also. But it was a very dangerous thing to do because they were dabbling with stuff that they knew was, you know, sometimes could explode and stuff like that. So just kind of, I always thought that was kind of an interesting side note. I had a great chemistry teacher in college, and he interested me in the stories of the ancient alchemists for just that reason. But with that in mind, the alchemy is very big on this card. So I'm asking, how do these two meet? And part of it is when you talk about alchemy, it's mixing different things together and then turning it into something else. Well, this is essentially their energy, right? But she's going to be the one who would be a little bit more brave in putting herself out there. But this is also soulmate energy coming off of this card. Now we have kind of a young soul and an old soul. She may be the one. Remember, she was the one who was out like looking a little bit more, questing, trying to find something. And she may be the one who is better maybe with wording. So it would make sense that she may be the person who opens up dialogue with them, who sees them as a soulmate, who even brings that up, who even approaches him more bravely when she meets him. And I'm saying when she meets him, because I don't know that these two have met each other. I mean, we couldn't see their eyes. Neither one of them. We couldn't see their eyes. So I don't know that they've ever met eyeball to eyeball, face to face. We have, by the way, hang on before I talk about this card. I just wanted to mention we do have the Lion here on that King of Wands card. And of course, that's who she's cuddled up to, is her lion. So that's definitely him. We know she's making a direct beeline for him. This card was heavily eaten by my baby when he was a puppy, and I love it still. And I bought myself a second deck that I have never opened. I've had it for years now because Aries is going to be 4 in April. And he ate this when he was a little guy. And I've still never even bothered to open up the other duplicate deck because I like this. I like the fact that it gives us a different meaning, at least in this one deck. We have the Wheel of Fortune, but look at how much is already missing. It has been time for these two to meet for a while, but they hadn't encountered each other. They could have. They've known of each other. They've been in each other's sphere or orbit. They've been soulmates. They could have encountered each other for this romantic purpose some time ago, but they didn't. And that, to me, I got to ask why. Why didn't they when there was an opportunity? 3 of Swords in the reverse. They weren't. It wasn't because they were still heartbroken. In fact, they've been good for a while. Both of these characters have been whole for a while. 2 of Cups. I don't know. There's something about like the pull of the magnetism between them. Maybe, I don't know that I have a good reason, to be completely honest. I don't see a really good reason other than both of these characters want something amazing. They are ready for it. They have been for a bit. But you know, sometimes when something's really important, we put it on our calendar and we think about it and maybe rehearse it a bit in our mind without realizing it. You know, there's lots of stuff that's really important to me, but I might take a little while to get to it. And it's because it is important. And I always feel like if I'm intending on doing something, but I'm giving it a little bit of time and space, it's because I'm waiting for just the right moment when I know, okay, it's now. Now is the moment to do this. A lot of the most important things in my life, I don't even know what it is that I wait for exactly, but it's got to speak to me that this is the moment, you know, and it's almost like you just move forward without thinking any longer. But up until then, you think about it a lot, fully intending to do it, knowing you're going to do it. And this could be anything. This could be, you know, whatever. You got to take out the garbage. You know you're going to, but you don't get around to it for an extra day and a half. Why don't you? I don't know. But there's a reason. There's a reason that only you know. But in this case, it's the magnetism pulling these two together. And these two could have already talked, but they didn't yet. It's not because they're heartbroken. It's not because there's any blockages. They're both ready for this. But they still have this odd, up to a 3-month-long delay before they get around to being drawn toward each other. And I shouldn't say before they're drawn toward each other. They're already being drawn in. But the actual eyeball to eyeball meeting is still on the horizon. Is there a good reason for this, universe? Is there something divine about even this? You know, think of it like a flower that's going to open and fully bloom. There's something wonderful about watching the flower bloom also. You know, there's something really awesome about letting nature take its course, not rushing it. Everything, you know, takes a certain amount of time for a reason, for it to be like going according to nature. So best to let those things happen. We have the Judgment card. And you notice that she's going through this portal. All I can say is that this shift, this transformation, this exiting one mindset and moving into this new mindset, the mindset that they both have, that they both want, there is still something about like really, truly, it's not about detaching. They're both detached from the idea that they're going to still be single. These characters are ready to meet. This is a divine counterpart relationship. This is going to be an amazing connection. They're both ready for it, but let's say This is like moving into a new house. You have already left your old house. You packed up all your belongings. You brought all your stuff to the new house, but you don't live in that new house until you've really unpacked, figured out where everything is. And then at some point, like, a couple weeks or a month into it, then you finally go, oh, that's my home now. Like, all my stuff is here. It's arranged and it's a sensible way. Like, I don't really move into a house until I've put stuff in my kitchen where I know where it is. And sometimes it takes me like rearranging one or two drawers, because I'm like, it's usually my cups. I usually put my cups in the wrong spot and then go, what the hell was I thinking? Obviously, my hand goes here for a cup. So move my plates to the other side. Like, I'm famous for that. I don't know why I always get my cup covered wrong every time I move into a new place. That's I would say that's my number one most mistaken thing. And sometimes I'll put furniture in the wrong place too, which really sucks. So you got to move heavy stuff. But this feels more like that. It's the adjusting to the new. It's not letting go of the past. It's adjusting to the idea that I'm going to be in a long-term commitment with a person that I'm going to go the distance with. That I'm ready for this. I'm going to be somebody's, whatever, mate. It's them adjusting to their new vision of who they're going to be. I'm going to belong to someone. This is really awesome. It's that's why we have this bit of a delay. They're practicing in their own minds being, I'm going to belong to somebody, and vice versa. That's starting to feel nice. It's starting to feel good. She still may be the one who reaches out first and says something, but I don't think she's going to do that until she herself is ready at about the same time that they are, thinking about, like, I could picture myself being somebody's, woman, somebody's man, somebody's, whatever. Supply whatever you want. I'm not talking about ownership here. I know that's what that sounds like, but it is like, it's you and me. It's going to be an us thing. That's a big change when you've been single. Even though these two want this, still, they haven't really had that bond. So wrapping their heads around it, so they're not just going to get together and be playing house. Like, it's better for them to ease into this concept that I'm actually ready to do this. This isn't just lip service. This isn't just me like, oh, I wish I had a partner. This is like me picturing I'm a partner. Let me envision that. Let me envision getting up every day and sharing my day, my highs and lows with somebody in their entirety. This is about me merging and, having ideas about, it's not just going to be me picking where we're going to live. We're going to pick it together. Am I ready to do this? Can I imagine consulting with a partner? Can I imagine having somebody else's, heartbeat beside me, and somebody, their clothes are next to mine? Can I really picture all the little details of being in a divine union where it's like, we're going to stay together and build together? Because this is different. This isn't going to be one of those things where it's like, well, they'll sacrifice a bunch for me and I'll still get what I want. This is going to be literally a 50-50. These two are going to compromise in all kinds of ways, and both of them are going to compromise equally but differently in order for this to work. But I think that they're both really ready, but this is like they're first pre-thinking all of it as they're being drawn closer and closer to proximity. And then I think it's her that reaches out. I think it's going to be her that sends a message of sorts. I don't know how these two have knowledge of each other, or if it's that they're thinking about these things and then they're going to meet, and it's going to be like this gravitational pull where got a 10 of swords. And this is, we're out on a kind of like this frozen tundra, and it's very much this Viking warrior who's fought his last battle. And, the greatest reward for a Viking warrior, of course, is, to end on the battlefield and have the Valkyrie come along and scoop up your soul and bring it into the halls of Freya. And that's exactly what we have happening. This is their final like battle within themselves, is what I would say. This is their own personal transmutation of becoming the person who's ready to be in a long-term commitment. And I'm not saying that these characters previously were somehow immature or not ready for a relationship this powerful. I am saying that, but I'm not saying it in a rude way. I'm not saying that they were, they had other lovers. They might have even been married and divorced before, but that wasn't really that important because they weren't mature enough yet. I don't mean it to be sounding so like just an offhanded remark. It's just that this is going to be different. This is a different layer of connection because they're a different layer of like evolved energies at this point. So it is like they're not going to have stupid battles. These two are not going to get into a relationship and then, they eventually like file for divorce because of a difference in, irreconcilable differences. Like that's, and I'm not saying that that's stupid either. I'm just saying for them it would be because there's really no differences that they cannot reconcile, is what I'm getting at. And that's just because the two of them are a true match. They will have many, many differences. It's just that neither one of them intends to walk away. And again, the only reason I'm saying it's a maturity thing is because they know themselves so well that they're not going to choose somebody that they couldn't reconcile with. And neither one of them, although they'll continue to grow as people, they're probably not going to grow out of some of these really profound pieces of self-awareness. Like they know themselves really, really well going into it. And I kind of think that they both, only because they both know each other so well, that's why they're not going to have the irreconcilable differences that can appear, if characters, if one person might know themselves well, but the other person doesn't, you get married and over time it's like, wow, we were not meant to be. I just don't see that happening for them. And it's because they've already gone through some huge transformations in themselves solo. We got the 7 of Cups though. What is the 7 of Cups? Because that can be all these different options. And I'm still trying to drive this story to like, she's reaching out, but I don't understand this. Like, how is it that these two wind up having a connection? The 7 of Cups says it could happen in so many different ways. And perhaps that's why, there's something that's not adding up here, because it could go so many different ways. The all gifted is Pandora, but Pandora's box, unfortunately, has been opened and everything negative has been spilled out. What is that? What is that doing here? Strength card. So these two could meet during a time of, I'll say, strange crisis, where they step up into the best versions of themselves and face down something that is a problem, because this is negative stuff and this is a moment of tremendous courage and strength. Whatever the circumstances are that bring them into each other's realm and that prompts her to reach out and say something, I almost feel like it's going to be against a backdrop of some kind of movie quality tumultuous something or other that occurs. And I don't know if she reaches out to him because she sees him being strong, or if she, vice versa, or if it's the two of them. I don't know. We have the Magician. There's something very sage that comes out of this. I'm not going to say that he's been trying to manifest her reaching out to him exactly, but for some reason in this storyline, I do think that he has wanted someone to see him as someone that they want. I almost think that he's manifested a chance to stand and be his best self, to be his strongest self. And I believe that's when she spots him. That's when she sees him, is in a moment of some kind of crisis or something like that. And she sees that, and she sees some kind of strength in him that is very admirable. I do think he wanted to be recognized for his best qualities, as we all do. But this is a really beautiful chance for these two to meet. I kind of think that what is bringing these two together is maybe a moment of strife or struggle in some capacity. And this could be small. Let's give a scenario that's like a very average day-to-day thing. Whatever, you're driving along and you see somebody's car breaks down, and you see a couple of other drivers pull over and they jump out and they just automatically help. Like that happens all the time. You see, everybody knows what it's like to be like, oh my God, shit, my car just broke down. That's going to happen to all of us at some point. And thank God there's almost always somebody who goes, oh, I've been in your shoes. Don't worry, I'll pull over and help. And it's a quick thing. And you see humans like scurry together and just help each other out of a sticky situation. That is a simple, but you can't help but admire it when you see people just do the right thing, and it's like you just scramble to help each other, even though you're total strangers. That's just like a common occurrence that happens, every week. You can see something like that happen, but it just reminds you it's nice that human beings, for all the terrible stuff that we constantly talk about, that we supposedly everybody thinks that they hate each other if you listen to the news, when in fact, I don't think humans are like that. I think we're a lot better than the news makes us out to be, especially political news, I think humans one-on-one are pretty awesome. I think that I just think that we're painted in really negative lights, and there's so much that's intended to like divide us, so much divisive commentary all the time that I think is a bunch of bullshit. I think mostly humans are pretty able to understand that we all have the same wants and needs, and when you see somebody in trouble, you automatically help. That's just what you do. I think we're programmed to think about that, but we don't get enough of those stories. But I think that this might be one of those moments, and that could be how they meet, or that could be why she reaches out. And whether she's present, whether she sees something like that, whether it's, in the more virtual world, the online world, somebody says something that you really admire and you reach out to them because you like their mind, you like the way they've presented themselves. It could be something like that also. But I like the fact that regardless, it's that magnetism that's bringing these two together, and these hearts are going to find each other. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter time and distance. It doesn't matter cultural differences, because they have the same frequency. They're in the place for the same thing. They're going to recognize one another as, you're a match for me because we're on the same vibe. We've evolved into the same intellectual and heart-centered space where we both want to have a relationship that goes differently. And I think that is why it's worth it for them to both, even in this last, whatever, maybe a couple weeks or a couple months before they actually officially end up in each other's worlds. This is perfect for them to keep thinking about, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to be somebody's long-term partner. I'm ready to be in a real relationship. I'm really ready for that. Because I think that is part of the prep work. Like I said, it's like unpacking your house when you move into a new house, and then it starts to feel like home. And then you say, yeah, this is where I live. This is who I am. I think that these two are adjusting to who they've just become. Very cool. I'm really enjoying this storyline. I think this is a great peek at love. Jessica H., I agree. I liked this one. Thank you so much for being here, honey. You guys, thanks so much for hanging with me tonight. Dana Blood. Hi, sweetie. I know. I agree. 100%. Yeah, I agree, Travis. So true. Hey, Icy. Nabila. How are you, love? Misso the Peaceful Observer. Yes, for sure. 50-50 is ideal. Mirabuka. So good to see you, love. Nice. Hi, Thalia. Nice. Hi, Kins. Thanks again, you guys. So good to see everybody. Neandria Rini, hi. Is it already Monday where you are? I'm still rocking through Sunday evening. Have a beautiful Monday, though, honey. Walking Nat, so nice to see you. Oh, I bet, huh? You're right. Hot summertime, it can be a relief when some of that lets up. So I will wish you a beautiful fall down in the southern hemisphere, Walking Nat. Turny, hi. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Beth. You sweetheart. Thank you for being here, love. Gabriella, hi, honey. Hey, T-baby. And Mr. Aries is resting. He had a very busy day yesterday and last night, so he's down for the count right now. Well, finally, he's back down for the count. Denisa, hi. Thank you again, Samira. That's so generous. Thank you. Ciao. Gianna, nice to see you always, honey. Lindsay and Black Butterfly 25. Thank you, 1188. Calm C and CL. Brianna Ross. Robin G. Nice. I'm with you on your work day. I love it. Glad we could hang out together. All right, everybody. Take care. I will probably bounce over to the other channel, and I still wanted to do, I think I'm going to get to Aries tonight on the other channel still. Sweet dreams, Johnny the Carnut. Thank you. Hi, Carrie. All right, you guys, I'll see you back over there, those of you that are night owls tonight, but lots of love. Thanks so much for giving it a thumbs up, you guys. Take care. Bye for now.